Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, DJ Blue PDX, and of course, joining me right now live from the very cold offices in Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder is Zach Killingsworth. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Do you know what's really fun?
What?
Finally having power. That's good. Finally having power. That's a good thing. Being able to not suffer in 18-degree whatevers, except for then I saw the temperatures in Chicago and Texas, and I realized I should shut up. Now, obviously my voice is a complete mess. Now, the one thing that's cooler than the temperatures in Chicago, Texas, and Portland is this giveaway. We're giving away an Amazing Horus PC. Like I rolled that in there. We're giving an Amazing Horus PC. Excuse me, my voice is a mess. And it is going to be awesome. You have so many different ways of entering. To find out more, type !GiveHorus in the chat right now. Now, there's many different places that you can find those extra codes for some extra entries, just in case you want to bump those numbers up. You can find them on our social media. That is YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at CLX Gaming. You might be able to find them in our Discord at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can find them on Tuesdays here on Kick at kick.com/CLX Gaming. On Thursdays, you can find the codes at Twitch on twitch.tv/CLX Gaming TV. And of course, you can find them in my streams as well. Why do I sound like I have been smoking 3 packs of cigarettes in the last 45 minutes?
A rough night.
So, with that being said, we have a project for Valentine in California. What are we gonna do?
So we have got a huge build today. You can obviously see we got a whole bunch of big boxes here. So Valentine has configured CLX Raw off our website. Now this is gonna be an all white build. So starting out, we've got the Intel Core i9 14900K. We are gonna be using an upgraded thermal paste on this. He has selected that on our website. And to cool that, we've got the Corsair H150i Elite. I believe we did one of these maybe a week or two ago, but that was the first one. So excited to see another one. This cooler looks really good. For our motherboard, we've got the Asus Maximus Z690 formula, staying on theme with the white there. Really great board. I believe this is the one you have, DJ.
Yeah, it is. And I'm super excited because we got a lot to talk about this board.
And then for our memory, we've got 2 sticks of Corsair 32 gig DDR5 6000 speed. It's RGB, and it does have white heat spreader, so a total of 64 gigs there. For our storage, for our main drive, we've got a Samsung 1TB 980 Pro NVMe drive, and then we've got a secondary storage drive that's also a Samsung. It's a 4TB 2.5 inch 870 QVO, so we don't see too many 2.5 inches, so excited to get one of those. We can talk about that a little bit later. We also have an Asus sound card. It's a Zonar SE. We've got our beautiful Zotac RTX 4090 in white. Very excited to get that out.
I'm jazzed about that one.
Yeah, it's going to look great. I can't remember if we've done one or not. We've definitely done the Zotac, but I don't know about white.
We've done one, and it was remember it was before we had access to the white strips.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So,
and but if I'm not mistaken, I think we've only ever done this one time with the white one on the show.
I think so. I think that's right.
Yeah.
And then we've also got 12 of our Aeolus M2 fans in white. These look great. Obviously, it's going to glow amazing in this PC. We've got an EVGA 1000 watt GT 80 plus gold fully modular power supply, and it's all going in this beautiful white NV7. So it's been a bit since we've done an NV7, done a lot of NV5s, but yeah, excited to get another NV7 in here.
The NV7 goes full size, baby, so they look really good.
Yeah, they're huge.
Let's see over on the red side. Dibby is in the house. What up, Dibby? How you doing? I'm back to what a PC. Well, you know what? We'll see, dude. We'll see. We got Who's Brezzy, and of course, GiveHorus in the house. Welcome, Who's Brezzy. Nice to have you in the show. If you have any questions, I'm gonna just move this mic closer to my mouth. I sound horrific. If anybody has questions that you'd like us to answer on the show, all you got to do is throw them in the chat. We'll get them answered as soon as possible. Now, Paul, let's talk about some of the really, really great features. Again, we haven't done an NV7 in a minute, so I want to talk about some of the really cool, unique features that this has over the NV5, of which we've been doing quite a few.
Yeah, so this is obviously just a lot bigger to start out with, but also here in the back, you can see we've got 2 spots for 120 mil fans, which is awesome. It's like the first case that I've ever seen have that. And
Yeah.
I'm going to take this door off right here so y'all can see it. This actually has this back door that has these nice fingers that will show a little bit later for your cable management. So you don't even have to see all your cables in the back. So this is really made for the enthusiast here. You can set this up anywhere on your desk and it's going to look great.
Now, I want to give props where props are due. That was actually kind of awesome with the fact that you rotated that and Zach just rotated with you. He just kept unscrewing.
We are
like,
synchronized.
No, dang. I love it. I love it. I love it a lot. Now, these are a little bit different to get apart. So what are some great things to remember when you are taking this apart in order to, like, say, once you get it in the mail, you've got to get all of the support pieces of styrofoam out and things like that. What's the best way to go about taking this apart and really getting that assembly going correctly?
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to other cases where you want to pull all your panels off. Obviously, you start with your top here because that kind of closes off everything else. And then you see Zach pulled out this, where our intake fans are going to be, this tray. That goes in the side here. So you definitely want to pull that out while you're doing that. There's kind of an order of operations we do so you don't have stuff bumping into each other that we'll talk about a little bit later. But once you get the top off, everything else kind of comes off like normal. The back door just swings out and comes off the hinges. So I think,
Nice.
yeah, good here. A little bit more steps on disassembly of the case. All right. Heavy motherboard right here.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this, of course, is a very familiar thing because this is what's in my system back here. Now, I love this because there has been a 790 chip refresh for the board, which still looks amazing with the new version. But this has some really cool features, starting with that backplate. That backplate is gorgeous.
Ooh, yeah.
Not that anybody would ever see it, but it's just kind of awesome.
It really is.
So, now, the purpose of the backplate is twofold. One, to protect the board, but two, it also provides an assist with heat dissipation.
Yeah, and like with a board this heavy that has just giant heat sinks on it and pretty much everything you can imagine, it's just nice for like extra, it adds like an extra element of rigidity to the board as well.
Yep. Now, a couple things we want to point out. Let's go ahead and start with that I/O shield. Guys, this is fun. It's a good mix of a little bit of everything. Look at all that plastic.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna, you don't sound too good? Parsons? That's an understatement. I sound like absolute, I sound like hammered. To quote Chris Christopherson, there we go. Chris Chip in the house, hello. So, all right, taking a look now at that I/O shield real fast. At the very top, we've obviously got our BIOS flashback buttons and your clear CMOS, which is nice to have accessible so you don't have any do stays on the motherboard. You've got your HDMI up top, then down below we've got a total of 3 USB 2.0s. Those are the black USB ports. We have 2 Thunderbolt 4s. Those are Thunderbolt 4 USB Type-Cs, a 10 gig Marvell Ethernet port. We've got 7 3.2 Gen 2 ports. 6 of them are Type A's, 1's a Type C, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, and of course your surround sound 5 gold plate audio. Now this is actually a 7.1 surround sound system built into the board, in addition to the other sound cards I'll talk about in a minute. I always have people asking me what the 2 knobs are. So Paul or Zach, explain what those 2 buttons are on top of the north bridge.
So these are actually plugs right here, and this is so it's designed so you can hook up fittings for an open loop. So I'll just undo one of these here to show you. We obviously won't be doing an open loop on this, so we're just going to leave these plugs in, but that's what this is. Just a little threaded portion so you could hook up a fitting, and that way your motherboard would get liquid cooling through here as well.
And out of the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, I so somebody asked, how was your weekend? I finally have power. So it's the little things that are important in life. Now, one of the cool things is also on the board. Let's talk about the buttons on the top. The top right, it's got 3 different buttons. Paul, what do those buttons do?
So this is for, what they say on them is retry, start, and flex key. So what this is basically if you're benching it and you don't have a power button hooked up to your board, you can just hit that start and that'll start your board and obviously reset. And then that flex key, I believe, has something to do with the BIOS. Not 100% sure on there. I haven't used that one personally. Man, look at all that plastic coming off.
Yeah, so much plastic. The other thing we've got down there is you can take a look right in the dead center. Look, there's a little LED screen. Now, that screen tells you all sorts of different information, or it also can give you animations, custom things. What other kind of information aside from, because I have mine set to tell me my CPU, GPU temperatures, and voltages.
Yeah, so
let's talk about what else you can do.
So those are the main things that I would use this for if this was my system. I really like being able to just look inside and just see the temperature right there without having to pull up any, extra windows or anything on your monitor. But you can program that to pretty much do everything. I mean, if you look it up on forums and stuff, it's pretty wild what everybody does with that.
And yes, you're absolutely right, Damon. Need of temperance. I definitely need tea with honey. All right, now, one of the other cool things about this board, while we're getting everything set up to get that processor in there, I do want to point one thing out. This has the best thing ever on a board, and it's called the button.
Yeah. So this is our quick.
What does the button do, and why is it awesome?
So this is our quick release button for our top PCIe slot there. You can see, when I press this, that slot opens up and allows you to remove the graphics card. And why that's so nice is on a system like this that's really high end, obviously the board's a little bit taller with its heat shields, but also we're gonna have a giant video card. So if you ever were gonna take that out, it's kind of hard to get your finger down here or a tool to push this clip to release that card. So that's what this button does. It's just off to the side to release it. So really nice. We love it as builders here. Anytime you gotta take a card out of something like this, it's super easy.
Nice. Calculator note. Last week we did our giveaway build. We did have a question. Maybe there's a real chance that Ivory already, might have answered this. The question came in: if I end up winning the giveaway, is it possible I can change the processor from an i5 to an i9 before it was shipped to me? I don't have that answer.
It could be something we'd have to see. Yeah, we'll have to check once we get there.
Now, speaking of things that we're going to be checking, we're going to be checking out this new processor we've got in here. Now, this, of course, is very similar to my build, but only two major differences. We've got the i9 14900K, whereas mine's a 13900KF, which is a massively powerful processor. Paul, how many cores does this thing have? How fast can this actually go?
So this is a 24-core, 32-thread processor. So it is a beast. You've got 8 P cores, which are the performance cores. So those have hyper-threading on there. So you get 2 threads off each of those P cores. Then you've got 16 E cores, which are efficiency cores, which help the processor stay cool when you're not gaming and not using it to its full potential. It's got a base speed of 3.2, and it will boost up to 6.0.
Yes. Question coming in: why do motherboards come in different sizes? Does size affect the performance? Excellent question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So the short answer for does size affect performance is no. What the size does is really you want to look at that and your case. So that's called a form factor. This is an ATX, probably maybe an EATX, which just means a little bit bigger than an ATX. So you want to make sure that matches your case so that everything fits properly. Now that being said, an EATX or an ATX board is going to have more features than say an MATX or an ITX by PCIe slots, but you could still get an ITX motherboard that would do this processor and would perform very similar.
Nice. Again, and of course, going into a white build, this is an incredible machine, and an incredible board for it. Now my RAM is black with of course the RGB stripes. We're going to be doing something really cool with this one for the RAM, because it is going to be also white. But first, let's talk about that AIO. The AIO is gorgeous. And this is a newer one that we just how we've only had this for a little while, right?
Right. Yeah. This is a pretty new AIO from Corsair. Yeah.
It's the IQ H150i Elite. Now, this is a 360 closed loop, but it's an LCD XT. So, Paul, that's sitting right there in front of you. What does that do? What does it show? Why is that important?
Yeah, so once again, the main thing it's going to do is show your temperatures here. You can see this is the LCD screen. Now, this comes off very easily. It's magnetic, but if you look where Zach's working there, you can see that there's a little 8-pin plug, and that's actually connects into here, and that's how we actually get these readings on here. This comes off super easy. I don't know if you guys saw Zach just pulled it off. You don't need any screws or anything like that for it, so.
Nice. Yeah, it is a gorgeous cabinet. I love it. Now, as we're getting this on here, obviously you want to be careful with how you attach it to the board because you want to make sure you're applying even pressure. Zach, what's the best way to attach that AIO to the chip to make sure everything is evenly distributed?
Yes, we don't want to go in a circular pattern. We want to bounce our corners around. That will allow the pump to seat properly. If we weight one side too heavy, that puts a lot of pressure, and we could in turn damage our processor or our motherboard.
Citation asks a great question. What cases do you assemble on? Only from CLX or Deep Cool and others?
So we have a few different brands that we use here. What we're using right now is a Fantex NV7, and we do have a lot of the different Fantex cases. That's one of our main ones that we use. We use Metallic Gear. Leon Lee is another big one. Game Diaz is a lot. We have a lot of different brands that we use for our cases. So pretty much everything under the sun, honestly.
I will say that right now, what we've just pulled off the top of that is basically that's your thermal plate for your initial M.2. So the first M.2 that we're putting in is the operating system M.2. This is a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro. This is just like the same one that I have for my operating system. I absolutely love it. Of course, that just screws right back down.
But on this build, we will leave it unscrewed because we have a standoff hole underneath it. And then once it's installed, then we will mount that down.
Yes. Now, this is not the only M.2 going in this machine, which is interesting because just like my build, Valentin also asked for a 4 terabyte, 2.5 inch. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, that's not an M.2. It's 4 terabyte, 2.5 inch Samsung 9870 Evo SATA drive, which is this little tiny box. Look at that. 4 terabytes in that little tiny thing. It's just wild.
It is, yep.
You know, you think about the size of things 10 years ago, and good Lord. Good Lord. So, okay. Now, let's talk about the RAM. Just like I chose DDR5 6000, but this is 232 gig sticks of Corsair's DDR5 6000. It is white with RGB backs on it. Looks absolutely gorgeous.
I love
this. Is DDR5 6000. Pretty much, this is top of the chain when it comes to all things memory.
Yeah, this is the leading edge right here. DDR5 is still, leading edge for me. It's definitely becoming the standard. Maybe 6 months from now, everything will be DDR5. So yeah, just blazing fast memory, and 32 gigs is a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here.
And that's 32 per stick, so pretty cool that we've got a total of 64.
You're rocking an Nintendo 64 on here?
Oh yeah. And we can do another one with our other 2 slots. We can SOI our N64s.
Yeah!
Yeah.
So much golden eye.
Okay. So much golden eye, so much frustration. Oh my goodness. Danny Gota, hello, welcome. Divvy says, "Hey, you should hire me." I'm not hiring. Sadly, if you're wanting to CLX to hire you, that is a whole different story. You can check that out on their website at clxgaming.com. What's up, Asian Monk? How you doing? My voice is a mess today. Yeah, I slept with my window open on the first night of the storm like I usually do, and my voice has been a disaster since. It went from like 34, 35 degrees down to 17, 15. It was ridiculous. Well, I mean,
Thank you.
Honestly, it's less about the snow. It's more about the dang wind and the ice. It's wild. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, well, we've had trees coming down all over the place. It's been kind of wild. What Paul is pulling out right now, however, is our sound card. This is an Asus Zonar SE 5.1. Now, this is a 5.1 channel sound card, but it's a 192K by 24-bit, which is nice when it comes to that kind of sound reproduction, which is always a plus. Now, we had to turn me up a little bit just because my voice is a mess. So there we go. Okay.
All right.
Now we've got our fans on.
Yeah, I think we're good. We got a lot more to prep here with all this. So
Yes.
we're going to get this case up here. Yeah.
Right. That board is stupid heavy.
Yeah, boards with
It's
back
ridiculous.
plates.
Yeah. All right, calm down, Davey. Good grief.
I also have silver.
All right. So once again, we're going to go back to talking about why that initial plate has not been screwed down yet, and this is because we've got to make sure this lines up and gets onto the standoffs properly. Paul, what are standoffs? How do they work? Why are they important?
Yeah, so standoffs are what the motherboard actually sits on. It can kind of look like the motherboard just sits on the case, but we actually have these small standoffs that go in, and what that does is it separates the bottom of the case from the motherboard. That way our motherboard isn't making any contact with metal that it shouldn't and cause any shorting or any issues like that. So that's what Zach is screwing these mounting screws into right now, is actually the standoffs.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, of course, once we get that done, we'll put that plate back in, which will be great. Yeah, I had to dig out all of my knit caps because it's just, yeah, it's absurd out here. Mr. Papa, what's going on? Welcome. Hello. So, now the cool thing about this case, we're going to be using 12 different Game DS Aeolus fans, which gives us a lot of different opportunities when it comes to where to place them. So, right now we're going to have, are we doing a full 3 or 4 on the back plate?
So we'll have 4 on that side to the right of the motherboard right there. 2 in the back here. We've already got our 3 mounted to our radiator up top, and then another 3 in the bottom.
Cosworth asks a great question. Is there a benefit to having the PSU top mounted?
So there's really, not a performance benefit to having your power supply up top or below. It just kind of depends on the design of your case. Some cases that are really large like this one, I'm going to assume, we like having the PSU up top. Glad they put it there. That way we're not stretching out our cables more than they need to be.
Aw, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay. Now we're getting that screwed down. One of the cool things about these boards is they do come with a software called Armory Crate, which is going to allow you to really actually choose and determine what that screen does for you. Lots of different options. Okay. Up next. Are we putting that radiator in?
Yeah.
So when it comes to mounting a radiator in this case, what are things to keep in mind?
The NV series has a really nice cable management for your roof fans, where they actually have the hole go out all of the roof, and then it sneaks back behind into your cable area. And I really like being able to just like pull these cables like this and be able to hold the liquid cooler and get it where I need to be. Just makes it super nice.
Nice. Yeah, this is going to be brilliant once the colors hit on. It's going to be great.
And something else that's nice with mounting it in the top of this case. So with this case being so large, we've got all this room right here, so we don't have to worry about the AIO hiding our CPU cables or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a great shot right here because you can see the angled lower bottom intake fan plate, which is great because first of all, it's already got its own dust filter built in, but the way that it's angled is unique for this case because of the fact that those fans then are angled towards the glass. So not only does it cause a quicker dissipation of heat from the glass, it also provides circulation of air so that you kind of create almost a vortex because that double fan exhaust on the rear is going to really capture that. You've also got the 4 on the back that are blowing in, so it creates a circle like a little tornado.
Yeah, the airflow on this case is the first one that I've seen that actually functions that way, which is pretty cool.
Should be this
way. Is one of our fans here.
We have a great question.
All right.
Got a good question coming in from Uncut Chain. If a GPU fan went dead after warranty, is it easy to fix?
Yeah, for sure. GPUs in themselves are pretty easy to install. They're obviously kind of large and can be a little bit intimidating to get into, but you know, if you got to replace one, it's not too bad.
And actually, we could, once you get a chance, maybe now would be a good time to pop, or at some point here soon, power tools. Maybe a little later we'll pull out that 1050 and show exactly some of the things to keep in mind when you're opening up a GPU.
Yeah, I think I've got it over here next to me. So we are working on our fans. Got 12 total case fans in this build, so we're obviously going to spend a little bit more time on these. The ones I'm installing right now are intake fans, and this will go in the back of the case here.
Nice. Nice. Also, I didn't want to talk about it, but it's definitely a truth. Damon over on the green side said 75 at her house. Shut up. All right, later, Div. Have a good one, man. Code. People would be asking for codes. Show some love to the wonderful Lord Ivory. Maybe it's your code. Okay. Now we're getting all these down there. Now you don't. One of the cool things about this also is you're not required to have your lower fans at an angle. You can, in fact, make it flat, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It decreases the efficiency of the cooling.
I think you're gonna beat me.
I hope so. I got the power of electricity.
Yeah.
Forearm strength.
Uh-oh. Yeah. We have one code as a treat over on the green side. It's HNY24-NHWG, New Hampshire, Wisconsin Gators. New Haven, Western Gulf. Not here. We'll go.
Not here. We'll go where it's warm. Not here. It's not warm here. We'll go where it's warm.
True.
So there it is, people. It's over on the green side. Want to head over there?
Yes,
That's our
sir.
Tuesday codes. A big wall of fans is amazing.
Forgot I'm tethered. I got power supply screws, so
Okay.
we can keep those over here.
Okay. So I did notice that you pulled out the power supply. Do you want to start talking about that?
Yeah,
real
let's
quick?
go
Because
ahead.
that is a fun one. This is a 1,000 watt EVGA Supernova G5 80 plus gold power supply. What kind of power supply is this?
So this is a fully modular power supply. You can see I just did undid the cable tie for all of our cables. So by being modular, what that means is none of the cables are pre-soldered into this power supply. So you can see I've got it right here, 1,000 watt, and then we've got all of our connections here for all of our cables. So this has a lot of them on here. We won't be using all of them for this build. I don't know if I've ever seen 1,000 watt with everything filled up, but all the extra cables will be in the accessory box in case the customer ever upgrades and needs them. They'll be there to go.
That is awesome. Now, of course, one of the nice things about these cable systems is the fact that these come with they're braided already. So they've got a nice surround to them. Now they didn't choose to go with the cable kit.
Right, yep. So we will be using these cables that come with the power supply. And like you said, with these being braided, these still do look really good in here. Come on.
Nice.
Someone's taking notes on this, right?
Yeah.
How many times is
Look,
Zach
yes.
going to install and uninstall and install this 360?
Yeah.
Okay.
Building that wrist strength today.
Right?
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. So what we're doing right now is making sure that these intake fans are all seated and that the cables aren't cinched or pinched or anything like that.
Or sitting underneath.
Yes, yeah.
As I had that one. Okay.
Now you want to, if you're doing this at home, you do want to have these intake fans in before you do the AIO because it's hard to get this whole bracket in when you've got your AIO up top.
All right.
Nice.
Third time's the charm.
Yep, third time.
Yep.
Okay. My goodness, I'm finally hungry again. Good.
Oh yeah.
It's the same amount. Yes, HNY 24 is the first four. The final four are going to be, what was it? An NHWG. Not here. We'll go. November Hotel Whiskey Golf.
I like golf whiskey.
I like golfing with whiskey.
Yeah, that bird dog. You guys heard of
My
bird dog?
my shot actually gets better.
It's like I don't know if it's a whiskey, but there's a type of liquor that's a bird dog. And anytime you get a birdie, everybody's got to take a shot of the bird dog.
Oh God, that could be.
Yep, yep. Good thing for me, I'll never get a birdie.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah.
I'll pick up a spare in bowling, but I ain't getting no damn birdie.
Yeah.
All right. Now, obviously, we see the cables that are all kind of coming out there. What's the best way of ensuring that you've got your cables in the right spot so you don't get them confused as to which one is which?
Yeah, so you want to think about that when you're actually installing your fans. Typically, the cables are going to come off a corner of them. So that's why we've installed them this way, so that our cables are ending up right up here where you can barely see them. And then there's actual cable management holes that Zach will pull these through and get them all neat and everything in the back.
Yep. God, this looks good.
Yeah, it's already looking real good. They picked just a really good scheme of colors. So you can see right there, we still got our pump there. This will go on at the end. So this is gonna, you know, kind of look like that
sick.
with our cables obviously ran up through the top.
Now, being that this is more of an advanced game, more of an advanced board than normal, because this is a Maximus formula. This is one of the top tier motherboards out there. What are some different things that this motherboard can do that others might not be able to?
So the biggest thing is just having these plugs for your liquid cooling. That's probably the thing that sets it apart from most, is being able to just open loop it straight out of the box. Other than that, with the back plates and the buttons, it just has every feature you can imagine.
We got Goat Popsicle asks, any rumors about the upcoming AMD GPUs? I'm holding off buying one right now.
I actually don't have any rumors about those.
Now Keys asks, when building a new PC, should you always prioritize the CPU and build around it?
The graphics card.
Excellent question.
What was the question, DJ? Sorry.
When building a new PC, should you always prioritize the CPU and then build around it?
So like if you're configuring everything, you want to do CPU and GPU. You want to, both of those are the two you kind of want to pick first, and then you can flesh out the rest of your build that way. Your CPU, when you pick that, that's going to decide what motherboard you go with. As far as chipset goes, I mean, all the chipsets have all different sizes of motherboards, but yeah, those are the two parts that I always recommend starting with.
And then I'm going to ask a dumber question. So how do you ensure that you're not going to end up bottlenecking your system in either direction?
Yeah, so the best way to do that would be look at what games you're going to play, figure out what the recommended specs are for that, and obviously, you don't want to go with the highest end video card if you're not going to pair that with a high-end CPU. So if you're going with a low-end CPU, go with a mid-tier video card and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
I think RAM is another area of the build that some people really splurge on that might not need to be. So if you just got, a regular gaming system with a solid processor and a solid video card, you probably don't need to go with like 128 gigs of memory or anything like that.
But Chrome, Paul, Chrome.
True, Chrome.
If Chrome is your application, then you'll want that.
I like having 80 million tabs open, so we upgrade our memory for that.
Well, and you've heard about what Google is doing with Chrome, right? They're going to start adding process requirements for anybody using ad blocker to make it more taxing on your system.
Yay! Wait, is that bad?
I'm like, more taxing? It can get worse? Please. I'd like to see that. Okay. My next door neighbor wanted to pair a 4080 with a Ryzen 3. That is a, Paul, you want to talk down to that?
A 4080 with a Ryzen 3. Yeah, so that's going to be a little bit lopsided on your video card there. Now, you could still make that work. Ryzen 3s do perform pretty well, but I would at least recommend going Ryzen 5 if you're going to put a 4080 in there. And Ryzen 7's probably what you want to do.
Yeah, you just got to download more RAM. That's really
True.
I actually tried to download video RAM when I was like back in the mid 2000s on a laptop. I was like, well, can't we just take some of this and put it over there? Like, yeah, that's not how that works.
Would you download a car? Come on.
If you choose to, so now Keith asks, if you choose for future proofing, would it be better to get a high-end CPU with a low-end GPU or vice versa? A low-end CPU with a high-end GPU?
So probably the low-end CPU with a high-end GPU, and that's just because most games are going to be more intensive on your GPU, so it's probably going to get better performance that way.
You got him to upgrade to go to the Ryzen 7? Oh, good. Yeah, Ryzen 7 and a 4080 should be.
Yeah, that's a great pairing right there.
Yep. That's how you get more FPS. I almost said that's how I get more popsicles, but it's Goat Popsicle who said it. God damn it. Yeah, and of course it's also dependent upon the game. We discovered that this last week, prior to the snowstorms, that Rainbow Six Siege is actually what's the word I'm looking for? It's optimized for 4K. So when I was wrong, I thought, lower the resolution so that I get better FPS, and I was getting a good, I'd say 180 FPS at 1080. And then somebody said, put that up to 4K. I'm like, I only have 1440p monitor, so they showed me how to convert it in the 3D settings and allow for a 4K compression. That game is so crystal clear smooth.
Nice.
I'm getting between 300 and 400 frames at 4K on that game, as opposed to, a little over half of that at 1080, which in my head doesn't make sense, but at the same time, I'm not arguing. And then there's other games that are very ray tracing based that it's exactly the opposite. So don't be afraid to play around with your resolutions in order to see what game works best at what size. Same thing with Star Citizen. Star Citizen at 4K runs so much smoother than it ever did on at 1080, which is kind of nuts. But apparently, when you get it up to like 4K, it automatically forces the system to use the GPU more. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Because you ever notice how sometimes your CPU is just sitting, your CPU is at like 100%, but your GPU is just floating in the middle? And you kind of like, can I just adjust this a little bit? Like bring it back to make it even? Why is that a thing?
It's probably something running in the background, or yeah, you got some settings that are not greatly optimized.
Me? Settings not optimized? Hold on, let me put on my shock face.
Yeah.
Huh?
What? What? That's so amazing. I never thought about it like that.
Surprised Pikachu?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
And we're getting a little bit more desk space now. This is good.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. One cool thing about this is that, while we've got this view, why don't you pop the back door real quick? Oh, let's go back to the last one. Can we go back to that last shot? There we go. So this little back door that you can see right there that Paul's playing with actually has multiple purposes. Paul, what does it do?
Yeah, so there's a couple things right here, but you can see that it's got this little groove section. This is where we're going to be putting our 2.5 inch. Now you can put it on this side, or you can do it on the other side. So it's actually room for two. Not sure exactly how we'll do it in this build, but we'll figure that out when we get there. And then it also has these two posts you can see. And what this is for is wrapping the slack of your 24 pin. You can wrap that around there, and that way when it's shut, you don't see any of those extra cables.
Interesting. I dig it. Okay.
All right, so we got our rear exhaust fans right now. Zach's got the last screw in there, and then all of our fans are finally in the system. That is,
which is great. We're actually clipping along at this right now. Good stuff.
Yeah, let's jump to the power supply.
Power supply?
Yeah.
Cool. You want the brick first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Now, EVGA obviously is a well-known brand and a well-trusted brand amongst gamers and PC enthusiasts. I've always loved their stuff. I'm sad they're no longer in the graphics card business, but you know, they everything I've ever had of theirs has always performed incredibly well.
Yeah, these EVGA power supplies are going to last you many, many years. You'll probably upgrade your entire system other than your power supply. Still use the same one you got.
Now Keys says, I have a silly question, but I've never had a liquid cooling build. Are you supposed to periodically change out the liquid?
No, it's a good question. So in these AIO builds like what we have here and probably what you have at home, you don't need to change the liquid at all. That's what's really nice about these. Super easy to install, and they don't require any maintenance. 24 pin next?
Yeah.
All right. You guys can see this 24 pin. You'll see it start poking out of that case. Oh, sorry, Zach. You do whatever you need to do.
Oh, citation.
Boom. There it is.
Welcome, citation. Assalamu alaikum. From Kyrgyzstan. Great PC video card is not a 1660. No, actually, this is going to be a 4090 that we're going to be putting in.
Yeah, we can go ahead and probably get that out right now.
Yeah, 4090. This is a great one.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, look at this. Now, previously, it's always been that we've seen ROG Strix coming out with the white piece, with the white graphics cards. And for a long time, that was really the only place that had them. And then we saw one, I want to say it was a 3090 that was from Zotac as well. And it was either Zotac or MSI. It was one or the other that had a white one. And it was a brief blip. And then it disappeared. But now we've got Zotac coming out with white ones. There's several different companies coming out with white graphics cards for white builds, which I find awesome. Granted, they are all horrifically expensive.
Yeah, you do pay a premium for one of these, but the end product looks amazing.
Disloyal Zero asks, how come they don't use cable extensions on their builds? Cable extensions?
So,
oh, you mean what? Like, why we're using a white cable mod kit? Because the customer didn't order it that way. Yeah. There we go. Wow, that's chunkier than I thought it was going to be. Dang.
It's a big boy.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's a big thing.
So once I get this box closed up, we'll get to the video card here.
Nice. Once again, don't forget, if you got questions, make sure you throw them in the chat. We'll get those answered as soon as possible.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, now Zotac cards are usually 3 or 4 deep. So how high is this one?
So this is a 3-slot card. You can see right here. Now it's actually a little bit more.
That is a thick puppy.
So it's a little bit longer than 3-slot, but we call this a 3-slot. It's probably like 3 1/4, 3 1/2. So I'll go ahead and get all this beautiful plastic off here.
And while we're doing that, Amir85 asks over on the green side, have you done a build with the NV9?
I have not personally. Have you, Zach? Yeah, it's a pretty new chassis, so haven't got my hands on that yet.
Okay, getting all that taken up. One of the things that we both just really appreciated about the Zotac is the fluidity of their designs. So you've noticed how it's got that kind of very smooth flowing curvature to it, which is great. I love it.
It's got curves.
How much will a good gaming PC run me? Asks Diesel. You know, Paul?
It depends on what you want to go with and what you're playing, but basically you can get in for, you know, I mean, you can get a really good performing PC for like 1,500, probably even 1,000. And you can go with something much lower than that to start out with and then upgrade it later on.
Let's see here. Now, how times have changed. My 980 Ti is a brick. It could also be a paperweight or a door holder, I hear you. My 1070 is on its last leg on my streaming PC. Actually, I'm surprised my streaming PC turned it on just because of the power outages that happened multiple times. Ooh, can we take a look at that backplate real quick?
Yeah.
That was gorgeous. Look at that.
Look at this. Yeah,
look at that.
This looks really good.
Well done indeed. I dig it. That's really slick. It's really slick. I like it. Oh, speaking of liking it, while we've got a chance, can we grab that 1050 because I want to show them. So we had a question earlier about changing out a fan on a GPU. So there are some considerations to think about. So Paul, walk us through why that needs to be done carefully, but also what it entails.
Yeah, so if you're going to pull the heat spreader, the heat sink, and fan assembly off your video card, there's going to be 4 screws in the back. Now, I've already taken out of these. This is a dead sample card, but that does, it's going to void your warranty with the card. So, do it at your own risk. But you basically take out these screws, and then the whole fan and heat sink assembly is going to come off and leave you with your actual video card here. So you can see this looks almost just like that sound card we installed earlier, and this is your actual GPU itself. So if I were to pull them off this white card, it would look very similar to this right here. Now obviously the PCB would be a little bit longer, but it wouldn't be any thicker or anything like this.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's ban-worthy.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking. Yeah, we're all looking forward to that 4080, the entire Super Series on the 40s, and it's going to be wild. Bruno Picasso, welcome. How are you?
Fan 1, fan 2, fan 3, fan 4.
Okay. We good? Nice. Nice. Don't forget, if you'd like to know more about the giveaway, all you got to do is type exclamation GiveHorus. GiveHorus to find out more.
Fan 8.
If I just stay closer to the mic and I don't yell, then I sound a little more wild, but yeah. All right, no NV9, only code AZJ3. That is Arizona Junior 3, AZJ3 Alpha Zulu Jammer 3. Your prefix is HNY24. Make sure you grab it now. That is going to be worth 100 entries for I don't know how many people. Okay.
All right, so we are getting all of our fans managed right now and plugged in our controller boxes. So with these fans, to control these, they go into a controller box. I'm going to grab this one real quick from Zach just to show you guys. So this is what our fans are plugging into. Now it's all powered with one SATA, and you can do 8 fans into each of these boxes. So since we have 12 fans, we're going to be using 2 boxes. You can daisy chain these together, that way they're all synced up. So Zach's got the first 8 fans plugged in and is managing those cables right now, and then he'll move on to this one.
Yeah. One of the really cool things that I love about this case is the fact that you've got, you know, I was going somewhere. Oh yeah, no, the white grommets, which is something that Fantex has been doing with their NV series. We see it in NV5, and now we can see it here on the NV on the NV7. Obviously, the white grommets they are really good for just keeping things tidy and keeping it looking really clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good way to kind of hide where the cable's from. It kind of blends into the rest of the chassis.
Do not message me about sharing referral links. I'll report what. Yeah, what? Okay, so Chili Sam, I also got a message like that. I'm not sure what they're asking. How long does it take How long does it take to get your PC built and sent out? Oh, good question.
So our lead times are constantly changing on our website. We like to keep those live, and that way you get the right, expectation if you order a PC from us. Right now, we're probably at about 4 to 5 business days, maybe a little bit longer, depending on your configuration. And that's from the actual when you place the order to us getting it pulled, built, tested, sent through QA, and shipped out.
Nice. And one thing I want to take people DM you about it. It's funny. Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, as you can see right here, notice the angled level of those bottom fans. So those are your bottom intake fans. It's raised on the back side, so you've got a little bit more airflow coming through the back. But as you can see, that's going to aim forward and up. So what it's going to do is 2 things. It's going to provide a fresh level of air coming into these fans on the Zotac, the 4090. But it's also going to be blowing air across the glass front, therefore cooling it faster, allowing that heat absorption for the heat inside the case to be better processed and removed.
All right. Maybe in mine.
Cool.
Yeah, Fantex has released the NV Series LED light kit. Yeah, they look good. Hi from cold London. Amir, it is hello from cold Oregon. I think our lowest temperature, we were negative 11 Celsius. It was ridiculous.
Ooh. Yeah, that is so cold.
Yeah. What is the... Okay, I'm glad you asked, Gaurav, because I was about to ask the same question. All right, so take a look at the lower left-hand side of the rear panel, Paul. What is that little hole for, or a button?
So this hole right here is for, if you had, let's say you were open looping and you wanted to run like a drain valve out the back, you could run a tube through there with the drain valve. That's probably the main thing I can think of it for, but I mean, really, you can use it for whatever. You want to route cables through there, you can. Yeah, look at those fingers. Yeah.
That's funny. It's actually kind of genius, honestly.
Yeah, Fantex
and
really...
especially given the fact that you can liquid cool this motherboard as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's -1C there, Amir. I'm so sorry. So, 1 Celsius, everybody, is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's freezing. And then as it goes down below there, it's worse. It just gets awful. Man, our dogs were very much not impressed with the cold. Except for Alfie. Alfie wanted to just do nothing but eat snow and everything that he might find under the snow, which was horrifically problematic. Okay. Now, one of the cool things about the NV series, although, wait, actually, maybe not the NV7s. So the NV5s come, what's up, Randy? The NV5s come with their own anti-sag device, but I'm noticing that this one does not.
Right, yeah, so we will be adding in an anti-sag bracket for this build.
Yes.
And I believe one might come with the case. I'm not sure if that's what we're going to be using. It just doesn't come pre-installed like the NV5s do.
Gotcha. And One Gaming Creed, yes, this is 12 fans in this PC, which is great. So we've got, for exhaust fans, a total of 5. You got your 3 on the top, and you got your 2 on the back. And then for intake fans, we've got a total of 7. So that's going to create a nice positive pressure environment in there. And so for those people who don't know what a positive pressure environment is, why don't you tell them?
Yeah, so positive pressure, like you said, means we have more air coming into the system than we do exhausting. And why we want it that way is so that all the air is coming through the right filters and that you're not sucking in air through all the little cracks and crevices. Helps keep your system a little bit cleaner.
Uh-oh. So Amir mentions, I can't install my anti-sag with my NV7 due to my motherboard. The fact that my motherboard is a Z790 Extreme E.
Yes. Extreme.
Yeah. So there are some other options you can look at for the anti-sag devices. I don't have any on me right now, but you can look online and find a few. There's some that don't mount to the motherboard, but they're just kind of like a post that you can just set in after your system's built, and that'll help you out as well. I'll show you the one that comes with this Zotac card because it's kind of similar to that. It's got a little arm like this, and this sits in, and you can adjust the height of this to fit your video card and then screw it in, and then you don't have to deal with mounting it to the motherboard.
Yeah. And it's color coded. It's great. We did have a great question coming in from Diesel 4. Is liquid cooled a good thing to go with for your PC, and why?
Yes. So answer to that is yes. Liquid cooling is very easy to install when you go with an AIO, and it just provides exceptional performance in cooling your processor.
Nice. Naoki's asks, what's the specs of your PC behind you? So I have very similar. Mine's a raw build. It is a 011, so that's by Leon Lee. It has an i9-13900 KF processor mounted on this very same motherboard, which is the Asus ROG Strix Extreme Formula, Maximus Formula. There we go. I've got 64 gigs of DDR5, 6000 RAM, 13 fans, including a push-pull on a 360 AIO for cooling. My operating system's on a 1 terabyte M.2. My games are on a 4 terabyte M.2. And, yeah. I love it. And it's got a white cable mod kit, which I was like, yeah, that's cool. Ordy says it's 267 Kelvin in Virginia right now. That kind of math I'm just not comfortable with. Would you say a RAID drive setup is recommended for a gaming rig? Interesting question, Cosworth.
Yeah, I would say no. The RAID setups are built, those are for redundancy, so you mostly see those in servers. Now, if you're the kind of person that just wants to have all your bases covered and you want to do a RAID setup, you definitely can. But that's, for if you've got a bunch of files and stuff that you don't have backed up, or you want, redundancy built into your PC for storage. But it's not something we see very more. We do offer it. We saw it a lot in the past, but it's just not a thing anymore, not as much with the size of drive. I mean, a lot of systems only have 1 drive on them, so 1 or 2, I guess. I guess it's pretty common to still see 2 drives, but typically you don't put those in a RAID.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always just been kind of I've always been afraid of RAIDs. Yeah.
And those have SATAs too. Okay, so then I'll put that in. May I have that bad boy?
Now, one thing that's great to see right here is you can actually see that hard drive, the 4 terabyte hard drive. It's going to be the game drive, I'm going to assume. That, once again, is a 4 terabyte, 2.5-inch Samsung 870 EVO. Now, as far as comparisons between M.2s and SSDs, what kind of speed difference is there and which one is going to perform better in your opinion?
So starting out, both are going to be blazing fast. So this 2.5-inch is incredibly fast, and the NVMe drive is even faster. So you're going to see faster transfer speeds off that NVMe drive, but I don't want to take anything away from this 2.5-inch drive. It is really fast. Now, if we had a 3.5-inch mechanical drive in this, you know, that is a slower drive, and you would see a way bigger performance coming from a 3.5-inch to a 2.5-inch or an NVMe M.2.
Why not go for 2 NVMEs? I'm going to be honest, cost. Cost. The difference in price on it from a 4 terabyte SSD versus a 4 terabyte M.2 is considerable.
Yeah, for me at home, I have just a 500 gig. I have 2 500 gig NVMe drives, one for my OS, then I keep a couple other games on the others, and then I have a 6 terabyte mechanical drive because it was just really cheap.
Yeah. To go with like a 4 terabyte M.2 on top of, like, instead of that, would have been anywhere between $80 and $190, basically. So, but it's an SSD.
Yeah, I think I got like a really good deal on my 3.5-inch mechanical 6 terabyte. I think I got it for like $30, so kind of hard to complain when you get 6 terabytes for $30.
Right.
That is a
Starbucks
screaming
Wi-Fi
deal,
says, "What's up? This builder is a menace." You're not wrong. He's incredible at what he does. Absolutely incredible. This is gonna look so good when we're done.
Yeah. So now Zach is running the wires for that CPU cap, that pump cover right there. You can see it's actually installed. So he's got the wires coming out the back and down here in the bottom, and that goes to its own controller box itself. So a lot of wires to manage in this build.
Now, speaking of controller boxes, one thing that's really neat about the NV7 is it has a very unique lighting controller system. Paul, what does that look like, and what can it do?
Yeah, so the NV7 has its own built-in lighting controllers for RGB and really everything RGB in the case. So you can use that. What we found with our Aeolus M2 fans, you can go through all sorts of different settings with those fans just with the remote, but by using the actual built-in controller box, we get even more options doing that. So pretty cool what you can do with this. It's obviously built into the case back here. You can't really see it, but these buttons on the top will cycle through all the modes and colors.
I did miss a question up here. Disloyal Zero asked, what do the guys think of the new Thermaltake 300 series?
I don't know about those. I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah. And Baston says, can I ask a question about current PC? Absolutely. Throw it in the chat. We'd love to talk about it. Got any questions about it? Questions about upgrading? Questions about issues? Listen, these are the guys who will have the answers.
Okay, so then I want...
It's coming together, Zach. That's a lot to manage right there.
Yeah.
I still have that on top.
Okay.
I want...
Right? I'm watching this because he's still keeping it really tight in-house with all the cable link, which is impressive.
Yeah, he's broken it down into just quite a few steps, which is the way to do it. So got all of his cables managed. Now we're looking at our SATA connections. Those are going to power both of those controller boxes that I showed earlier, and then also our 2.5-inch SSD.
We're going to run a third one just for that bad boy.
Okay.
Being a 4 terabyte, I want it to have its own power. I don't want to pull any fans or liquid cooler. Just for RGBs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is the...
Yeah, I will say the RGBs on the NV7s, just the way the fan controllers work, is spectacular.
It really is.
It is unique. It is flawless.
Yeah, I was playing with them at the desk the other day. What fans did I get? I had the Halo fans. I had the Halo fans. Man, I love those Halo fans.
Yeah, they're so cool. They're like the fans that was like, we didn't like them at first. We saw them, was like, I don't know about these. Then we saw them on, like, okay, never mind. These are pretty sick.
Yeah. Harley for real asks, what PC is that? This is an NV7. It's a custom build for Valentine in California. Now, one thing I will point out that's really, really helpful, and I'm glad that we're getting to see it because it's one of the cool things about Fantex cases across the board. They have incorporated Velcro into the back of it on all of their builds. So it adds to the ability for you to really get your cable management in there, but also keep it organized while you're getting all your tie-up stuff.
Yeah, the Velcro straps are a really nice touch, and like you said, we've seen this on all the Fantex chassis, so really like those.
Strato. What's up, Strato? How's it going?
Too bad I didn't have a white SATA data cable, but that's fine.
I'm getting all that in there.
So now this is our SATA data cable right here. So it's going to go from our motherboard to our 2.5-inch drive. Now a lot of the builds we do are just NVMe drives, so we don't use SATA datas that much anymore, which is kind of funny.
It's interesting. You're awake before work? Nice. It's always interesting watching him do this just because it's, this is the worst. This is my biggest fear in building a PC. I'm terrible at this part.
This is the part that definitely takes the most time to learn. If you want to be messy about it, you can just plug everything in and try to cram your side panel back on, but we obviously want it to look really nice. So we take a lot of time in our cable management.
There we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, look, there we go. It just pops right up in there. Nice. Let's see here. Cosworth mentions Be Quiet has a minimal amount of RGB style, which I prefer. But what do you guys think? Okay.
So a lot of I've heard that quite a bit with people getting kind of tired of the rainbow puke and the RGB, which I can totally understand. So it's kind of nice to see those just stealth out builds. At the same time, if you got RGB fans, you can always just turn them off. So I kind of like to have them that way, if I'm like, oh, I don't want these on anymore, or I want to change the color, it's very easy to do with RGB.
Okay, and then the last one of those.
But mine sits like this with the little sparkly blue, so it looks like the atmosphere of the Earth. I love it. I dig it. You crammed your side panel on your Lian Li case. Well, hopefully it, if it works, it works. Oh my God. Yes, Commander Strato, that is absolutely perfect.
I think about that
Strato
meme every time.
You know that Homer Simpson meme where he looks really skinny on the front and then the back he's got all these ties holding all these rolls to his back? Yeah, that's most people's PCs on the back.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. We actually got to see some of that when we were doing the upgrades for people in Dallas, which was wild.
Yeah, we did.
I don't remember any of it. I was in a dark room.
It was a blur.
I was in a dark place. Literally.
Building PCs by candlelight.
Yeah.
I just remember every time that, because Zach was prepping all the things, right? He'd pull all the motherboards out, got everything installed, so it was just a quick install and we're done. And every time that Hayden would open up a case and the cable management was just a complete and total nightmare, you could see this little furrow on his brow. And he would stare incredulously at it, just with severe irritation and angst. And then he would look at us like, "Are you serious right now? Who did this? Who hurt you? Why are you like this?"
Yeah, man, this looks really good. This is what's another nice thing. We showed you all these doors before, but now you can see them actually, with all the cables managed, and it just really cleans up the build. I love being able to see the 2.5-inch drive right here. I think that's just cool.
Oh, the old half cases. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Man, we used to build a lot of those. The half 912, 922, and 942, I believe. I think the 942 was half X. We used to do a lot of custom paint on those as well. Yeah, those are back in the day. I think the half X came with caster wheels you could put on the bottom because it was so big.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of hilarious.
Okay.
I remember the big Macs. but like I think there was like just the Macintosh Pro back in the day. This big tower of a thing, and it came on wheels, and it was ridiculous. We had them at the radio station at the college, and it was funny. Let's see here. 3 codes maximum, right? That I do not know. I don't have access to Ivory's list. I know I've got a code for later on today on my streams. So that'll be a fun one. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be for at least 100 people. Maybe we'll go with a 150. Who knows? Yeah, sometimes he gives 3. Sometimes sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. I like Almond Joys.
That's how I know I'm an adult now, because I do eat Almond Joys.
I apologize for nothing when it comes to Almond Joys. That's my
pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty good.
Oh yeah. And it's got almonds in it, so technically it's healthy. Sort of. Well, it's almonds and
coconut, and dark chocolate. If you go that route, it's basically a vegetable.
Why is this so flat then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Got that little bit of a blow to it. I don't know then.
Yeah.
Citations, what's going on? How are you? Pecan turtles or bay? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be. Yeah, you got a point there. Gen X doesn't like Almond Joys. What do you mean Gen X doesn't like Almond Joys? I'm pretty sure I'm Gen X.
Last time, hopefully.
Is that an Australian thing? Oh no, Honey Joys.
Just showing the ease of access.
Yeah, actually.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they actually have them here, but I know that I had one while I was in Australia. What would most likely cause screens to start flashing black? Randy, that's a good question.
So the first thing I would look there is make sure your connection is good. So push in on those cables. If you push in and they feel like they didn't move at all, unplug them and replug them back in. That's the first step I would do. Then coming from that, if that didn't work, maybe check your video card driver, make sure that's up to date. Or if you just updated it, revert back to a previous one. And then after that is when you can start kind of troubleshooting hardware.
So apparently, Commander Strato was mentioning about the Honey Joys. It's basically cornflakes, honey, copper, a heap of sugar, and then you put it in the fridge so it goes solid. Dang! All right. Hear you on that one.
I've never heard of those, but that sounds pretty good.
They are good. I will admit that for sure. I got to try all sorts of different things, like Nando's. My God, I love Nando's.
I've had a Foster's once.
Oh, it's Australian for beer.
Oh God, that is a great. Every Aussie in the entire chat is throwing things at their screen right now because you said that.
They're good.
Yeah.
It's in a big can though.
The oil cans.
Pokey Pokey ice cream, right? Get a big can of Foster's. That's just, and it's just terrible. Yeah, so many good things, and Salient's mentioned so many good things in ANZ, so Australia, New Zealand, that doesn't exist in North America like Hokey Pokey ice cream, which is also true.
There's a
Cocoa
bunch
Pops.
of stuff that exists in Australia that doesn't exist up here.
Yeah, so
Giant snakes.
Oh God, yeah.
Huge kangaroos that beat you up. Stuff that lives inside your air conditioning units in your car. Huge spiders.
The Hokey Pokey ice cream. So good it makes you turn around.
Fair, Huntsmans aren't exactly evil. They just look evil.
Okay.
I mean, don't go out of your way to screw with one, but yeah. And Commander Strato's response is, bruh, you guys have bears. And alligators.
Listen, I'd rather go outside and look at a tornado than look at any spider or snake.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I'm taking spiders and snakes over tornadoes. Although I will say that there are some poisonous things that live down there. When we were spearfishing off the southwestern, the southwestern coast in Albany, we were over in the Indian Ocean, and there are these things called cobblers. And cobblers are great to to eat. But when you catch them, you have to spear them in the head because they've got 3 tines that will pop out. And if you get even so much as scratched by one, you've got about 15 minutes before you die.
Thought that was just bread and fruit, but okay.
No, that is a cobbler the dish. Cobbler the fish, close but different.
I thought cobblers made shoes.
They do, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Lots of different things. Alligators are tasty. Oh my God. So now I know people are going to judge me for this, but one of my favorite things ever, if I'm down in that really decent area, and it's mostly in the small town areas along the coastline of Louisiana, but if you can find somebody who can make gator jambalaya, my God.
It's good gator.
Gator etouffee, so good. So good. If it's cooked right, it's beautiful. There are pictures of spiders the size of outside electrical junction boxes. Yes, there are. All right, look at that. That is just a chunky monkey card. I'm digging it, but dang. Yeah, the spiders that big are the friendly ones. I had to get really
What?
Oh yeah. Like a lot of people will have, like they let up a huntsman will live with them or live in their house. They let them in and out because it takes care of all the other poisonous weird things that get in your house. Like, yeah,
it's gonna be a no from me,
I know.
dog. Yeah. No way.
Huntsman's inside pretty often. Yeah, I think they're gorgeous. They're awkward. They are relatively uncoordinated. If you hear them running across a wall, it's just.
All right. Permission to change subject. Right permission to change subject. I already am not going to be able to sleep tonight because.
Yeah, well, don't worry. You'll hear them coming. Apparently.
Yeah. Are they going to sound like the squirrels on my roof? Like.
Oh, that's hilarious. Randy asked a good question here. Does CLX have a video on cleaning a PC?
Ooh, I don't think we do, but that might be a good idea for a video that we do later on. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, okay, now keeps that right there. You just scared the crap out of me. I'm not going to read it because Zach will definitely not appreciate it.
We're done.
Now we are getting.
I'll catch a hawk. I'll pick a hawk up out of the back. If a hawk flies in through our door, I'll go over there and pick him up and take him back outside. But spiders, Christian has heard me scream before.
Oh no.
Yeah, Zach did catch a hawk. This was a couple of years back. One in the summer, we had the doors open in the warehouse, and one flew in.
Yeah.
So regarding how the best way to clean your PC, do not use soap and water.
No, don't use soap and water. You can use a can of air duster. That's probably the most common thing to spray everything out. You can get like a rag to wipe all the surfaces down on the inside. Typically on that video card back plate, that's where you'll see a lot of dust collect. That's pretty easy to clean off.
Yeah. And it's exclamation GiveHorus, by the way.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Just put it in your washing machine. That's going to be horrific. Now this is a big one. Let's talk about this power. This power connector is pretty intense. So.
Yes, this 4090 does require 4.
Yeah.
And it's got the dongle on it. So we're doing the reverse push where you leave the big head of stuff inside the system and you take the smaller stuff and push it through to the back.
Yeah.
If you tried this the other way, it's very hard to getting that through the rubber.
Cosworth brings up a good idea. That to horsehair paintbrushes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that could probably get in a
that's actually brilliant. That's actually brilliant. I like that one. You use a compressor yourself and blow it outside. So I will if I'm for this one, my streaming PC, which does collect dust quite ridiculously, I will use a can of air while also holding the, you know, the
Fan blades?
tube, the tube that I can, for the extension, for your little wand. And I just take that and I hold it in the space and turn the vacuum on, and as I spray it out, it just sucks all the dust that gets blown out into the vacuum. A car detail brush would work too. Yeah, that's also true. Also true. Yeah, so much white. So much white.
Okay.
I actually just learned that if you're using air blowers to clean your rig, you're supposed to put something in your fans like a toothpick so it doesn't spin.
Correct. If you speed blow your fans, you can pump the bearings off of them, and then your fans won't spin properly.
Oh,
You're essentially you're hyper spinning your fans. That's not healthy for the blades.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Quackulator asked, what's the best way to clean a laptop?
Probably just get, I mean, if you don't want to open it up, because opening a laptop can be a task.
Some of those.
You can just, there's obviously going to be an intake for air. Just get a can of compressed air and spray it in there. Spray it in the exhaust too. It'll break up all that dust and get it blown out.
Alrighty. So we're getting all that back in there.
Let's see. So we
like
got
we're
those
getting-
cables done. Yeah, we're about ready to move on to panels. This build came
All
together
right,
pretty quick.
so while we're moving on to panels, I would love to go over and check out the panels on our webpage and show you how to get your hands on an amazing CLX Gaming PC. At CLXgaming.com, we try and make it as simple and easy as possible for you to get the PC of your dreams, and also make sure that it's going to do what you need it to do. Whether you're choosing your processor or your graphics card, we've got options for everything, and we know how to ensure that it's compatible. So a lot of people get concerned, oh, well, what if I choose things that don't work together? You're going to see that little yellow button that just turned on up there. So say, for example, you choose a DDR4 motherboard, but you've chosen DDR5 RAM. Well, then it's going to say, all right, you can use this motherboard, but you have to choose one of these RAMs that will work with it. If you'd rather have this RAM, then this is one of the motherboards that you're going to have to choose that works so far. Once it's resolved, that goes back to green. You can add it to cart and send it off to testing. We've got so many options here for your PCs, whether you want to overclock your CPU, overclock your GPU, upgrade your thermal paste. We've even got sound cards, capture cards, extra Ethernet cards if you need them. In our accessories area, we've got headsets, microphones, capture cards, again, Beacon mix creates and Beacon mics, which are amazing if you've never used one. They're absolutely awesome. So it's always a thing. Now, with that being said, some people are just, I don't really want to go through with making a PC. I don't know why my voice just got that high, but that's awkward. We have ready to ship models, dozens of them, and those are ready to go, tested, and waiting to go to a new home. And who knows, that home might just be yours. So for all of your future computer PC needs, head on over to CLXgaming.com and see what we can do for you. Yeah, my voice is getting a little bit awkward today. So, look at these panels. It's gorgeous.
And then from the factory, the liquid cooler will read Celsius temperatures on our processor.
Yeah. there's the ultimate rip.
I'll leave that outside one on there, Zach. You can pull it off once it's on.
I will say, like, at least it always looks like it. It looks like that film pulls off so much easier on the Vantex than it does on the Lian Li.
It sure does. So once we get this panel on, we're going to turn it around and we'll show you all the door. The door, yeah. I want to.
Yeah, this is a cool thing.
Kind of a special part about this chassis. We'll probably, should we plug it in for Zach too and show him everything that? Spin it so we can see this. So.
Man, that was a hip hop.
Oh, I heard that pop. This is,
oh
my God.
Why is this
just
one
in case
so
anybody's
heavy?
wondering,
Oh my God.
they are very, very heavy.
Yeah, so you can see the back here. This is obviously your I/O where you plug everything in. And then we've got all these fingers here. So what those do is when you're plugging in your cord, you can use these, and you can do this for your monitor cable, keyboard, all that good stuff, to plug it in up there. And hold that. Sorry, I was going to set it down, but I didn't want it to fall. But this door is what is going to hide all that. It's always a challenge lining up both hinges. There we go. So you can see it just opens up like this, and then with everything plugged in, you can just shut it. So pretty nice that it has that.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
We could have put this
I absolutely love this case.
Well,
It
it's
is a
funny.
great-
The door has to go on
great
before
case.
this can.
Oh, okay.
Because
I thought so.
Because of the hinge.
The hinge, yeah. I thought that was the case, and I was looking at it, I'm like, wait, maybe not.
Some cases
There we
are
go.
puzzle pieces, like the 4 stack.
All right, so
Right? Yeah.
I'll pop my hip this time.
Yeah.
Captain Thick Arms over there.
This is a heavy machine.
Yeah, this one's super.
Yeah. All right. Is there a correct way to read temps? Haglamia asks.
I mean, we always do it in Celsius. I figure that's kind of like the industry standard. Couldn't tell you why, but whatever you want to use is really fine.
I was telling Bridget last night, I need to learn Celsius. I know kilos because kilos is 2.2, and so that's like, 40 kilos, that's roughly 80 pounds. Celsius is
Did we
like
get the top?
0. I got
Did we
that
get the top
one.
and sidebar? Did we get the top and sidebar on inside?
Not
Yeah,
yet.
those will be after testing on this one.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay. I was just wondering. I'm like, All right. Well, let's turn it on and see what we can do, and then we'll talk about the testing here in just a second. Let's take a look at that.
Right.
And here we go. Whoa, that is
So
bright.
good.
That looks amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Damon, that's why it's 2.2.
Yeah. Zach, 40 kilometers, coach, 90 pounds and 80 pounds. Well,
Because it's 2.2, so I'm one of those quick math people that it's all going to be via the motherboard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So once we
we go.
get
Get
this
some of those colors
into
in.
testing, that's when we'll adjust these fans. There we go.
Yep. Nice. Nice. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's start by going through once again what is inside this amazing build for Valentine in California before we talk a little bit about testing. So this, of course, is an NV7 full raw white tower build. It's got an Intel Core i9-14900K processor mounted on an Asus ROG Maximus Z690 Formula Wi-Fi motherboard. It has 64 gigs of DDR5 6000 RAM from Corsair and an RTX 4090 by Zotac. The operating system is on a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro PCIe 4 NVMe M.2 with a secondary storage drive, which is a 4 terabyte 2.5-inch SSD, also by our friends at Samsung. The CPU cooling is a Corsair iQ H150i Elite LCD 360 closed loop liquid cooler, along with 12 different Game DSA OLED fans, an Asus Zonar card, and a 1000 watt EVGA Supernova G5 80 Plus Gold power supply. All right, now, this is a beautiful build. Where's it gonna go next?
So this is going to go into our testing department. And so the first thing we do in there, we'll get this hooked up and we'll get into the BIOS. We'll make sure all of our RAM speed is set correctly. All of our storage devices are showing up. So for this, we'll make sure that we can see that NVMe drive and the 2.5-inch in BIOS. We may mess with a couple other settings in there. But after that is when we actually load the machine. So we'll load the operating system. If you picked any games off our website, that's where we load those. If you didn't pick any games, we just do a fresh install of Windows. You don't get any bloatware. That's something we pride ourselves on. We're never going to put a whole bunch of software on there that you don't want or you didn't pick. Then after that, we'll put the system through a 12-hour stress test or a burn-in, and that allows us to make sure everything's stable before you get it at home.
And let's see here. Somebody asked what the price is on this. I believe it was running right around around $6,000. There we go. It can replace car headlights. Honestly, yes, it can light up a room. All right. And do you USB load the OS, Cosworth asks?
We
That's
don't.
an interesting question.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can get too far into how we do that, but we do not use a USB to load it.
Yep. All right, so with that being said, normally we have a two-part show, but today we do not. Today we're going to be shortening the show a little bit, so we are going to be bouncing out of here in just a second, and then we're going to jump over to my stream where I'm going to be playing some Dying Light 2 and giving you more codes, which will be a lot of fun. So this show happens every Tuesday and Thursday. We have codes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays on the green side, Thursdays on the purple side. You can also stay up to date with all the best thing that's going on with CLX and see if you can find some fun codes on our other socials. That is YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at CLX Gaming. Obviously on Twitch, it'll be CLX Gaming TV. Here on Kick, it's going to be CLX Gaming, and of course over on YouTube, as you might know. If you'd like to join a Discord with a whole lot of other like-minded PC enthusiasts and maybe find yourself another code, you can head over to discord.gg/CLX Gaming. Or you can come to my stream as well. So with that being said, we want to say thank you so much, everybody, and we will be back on Thursday with another amazing build. So on behalf of Kyle and Jason in production, Paul and Zach, I'm DJ Blue PDX. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again very soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.